Good evening and welcome to this special report. Reports are coming in of a serious chemical spill in Walsall in the West Midlands. Some 879 gallons of sodium cyanide has managed to find its way into the watercourse of the Walsall Canal. There are many reports of hundreds of dead fish floating around. Our man on the ground, Lumpy, is there at the scene. Over to you, Lumpy.
Yes, indeed, you join me here at Bentley Mile Way in Walsall, where I can unfortunately report that it would be lovely to continue doing this vlog in a light-hearted, jovial way. But there's nothing light-hearted or jovial about chemical spills into canals, into any form of waterway. And that's what we've got here. When we're talking about chemical spills, we're talking about cyanide. That's next level poison. So I'm currently right by the James Bridge Aqueduct. It's a part of the canal I've never been to before. It's part of the BCN that I do want to come up and explore and do some vlogs around. So I'm quite intrigued to be here. But the security won't let me anywhere near it. And that's fine, do you know what I mean? Because if there's cyanide up there, I don't really want to be dabbling about in any of that water. And what concerns me, there are other water courses in this area. You've got the River Tame. The stream right behind me here, but you know the canals, they do dribble, they drain, the water has to go somewhere, because I'm looking up at the canal at the moment and there's a water course just there. I think this may be called Cyanide Brook, Cyanide Stream, Cyanide Brook, and it runs, I'm guessing, into the River Tame. For reference, we're just by junction 10 of the M6. You can see security guard guy through there. He's not letting me go any further, which is good. So here we are at the section that is still currently dead, currently closed off. So all the fish in the section have died. You can still see there are ducks and stuff on the water, which is probably not good for their long-term health. So plenty of activity going on with Canal River Trust and other agencies that are trying to deal with the situation. So this is actually the bridge at Reservoir Place, which is where the company Anachrome are based. And for those people that aren't part of the boating community, as maybe scruffy and as weedy as this looks, this is part of the Birmingham Canal Navigations. So this is the organisation, the business responsible for the spillage. They've admitted responsibility for that. It's Anachrome Limited, and they do all sorts of chemical metal coatings and treatments for different types of metals. So they're about 150 yards from where the canal is. So how that's leaked out there, I don't know, and I'm sure they'll be dealt with appropriately. I feel sorry, because there's going to be a lot of people in there, you know, particularly the senior leadership team. They're going to be very concerned about their positions and whether the company can accommodate any fine that's coming their way, I guess. But it's got to be said, recently, the last couple of years, there have been many organisations in this country, in the UK, that have shown flagrant disregard for the environment. We regularly have water companies dumping untreated sewage into waterways, which are eventually going to meet the coast. You know, we have beaches now that are classed as unsafe because of raw sewage floating around. It's not acceptable. And so, yeah, Anachrome, I guess you put it into context, they're a very small company probably, but nevertheless, these people have got to be taken to task. Cyanide kills, and cyanide kills humans. It's not, you know, it's not just something that's going to give them a poorly tummy. So I'm now away from the section that's still closed off. I'm closer now to Walsall Town Centre. This has now been okayed as acceptable quality. So I'm not sure how many fish were lost down this end, but this is now all open. I'm going to attempt to walk along the towpath to see how close I can get to to the boundary of where we're not allowed to go. And the great news is I'm literally half a kilometre away from where the spill was, and I can see plenty of roach there on the top, sort of only small ones, but that's fine because they would probably be the vulnerable ones. I was led to believe that the canal was closed to here, but there's no security presence here. So I wonder if that situation may well have changed. Ah, there he is. There's the guy. It's all right, mate, yeah? How's it going? Have they sorted it yet? Well, yeah, that's definitely where it stopped here, Rolling Mill Street Bridge. This is where it's still closed from, for about a kilometre in that direction. As I've just shown, there's plenty of fish alive down here, so that's good news. But there's been some 200 pounds of fish removed from the canal, dead fish, small ones, small fry, and some of the bigger ones, you know, which would have been years old. So that's really sad. But it's not just the effect on wildlife either. Do you know what I mean? There are so many people who use the canals, who use this green corridor through cities. You know, you got your dog walkers, you got your runners, you got your cyclists, you got your anglers, you got your boaters. You know, it's really key that things like this are protected and looked after. And it's right that the authorities lock it down, close it down, because, as I said, cyanide at best is just going to make you feel not very well, but at worst it's fatal. And we can't be messing around with that. Spoken to the two security guards here, obviously don't want to be on camera, and they're not as good looking as me anyway. You know, there's the flamboyance and they're not dynamic. You haven't all got it, but they didn't want to be on camera, which is fine. But they were telling me that they're still actually considering draining this down, even though this area immediately here is safe, just the other side of there isn't. So they're considering stop planking it, draining it out, taking a layer of silt away. I think to do all that they can, all that is reasonably practicable. I believe there are some parts, they're telling me there are some parts that have already got drained down, some pounds. So be interesting to see how that goes. There may well be stoppages here over the coming weeks whilst they still try to do a bit more. But we shall see what happens there. But you know me, I am your roving reporter. I will be on the spot to keep you up to date. God, I'm full of BS. So initially, some 12 miles of canals and towpaths were closed. You kind of Riders Green, Perry Bar Flight, the Rushall Flight, plenty of stuff there that would stop further water flow, basically. But yeah, because we all know, you know, the Birmingham Canal navigations, it's a complex sort of myriad of waterways. Once it gets into that lot, do you know what I mean? It would have been a nightmare. And when I come up here looking at these waterways, it makes me quite excited that I am going to get up here. I'm going to try and come up in a few weeks' time if I get an opportunity, and stay around here for, you know, a week or two, and vlog as much as this sort of northern end of the BCN as I can, because yeah, you're looking at the water, you think, oh, it's a bit dodgy. There's a lot of shopping trolleys and cones and stuff knocking around, but I do like a challenge. But you come across some really interesting features, you know, where industry once was, wharfs and bays, and obviously the basin in Walsall town centre, and you know, the stuff like that. It's just, I look at it and think, I don't know this exists yet. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Are you two aware of the danger that you might be in? Are you? You might want to think about moving further off down the cut. So there's the Whirly in Essington, often known as the Curly Whirly, and that way to Walsall Basin. It looks to me like they've got that dammed off up there, so I'll have to go and investigate that. So there we go. As you can see, even though even though that stretch of canal is now classed as open down there. And just as we're looking there, round to the left goes round to the Walsall town centre basin, round to the right goes down to the restricted area. They have actually drained out all this section. I don't know how far that goes up, but you can see here a very large dead pike. For those of you that want to see how locks work, there's your ground paddle, and there's the paddle that actually lifts when you wind it up to let water into the lock. There's a body in this canal. I found a dead body at the bottom of the lock. And here are some of the things when you're coming through town centres that boaters have to deal with. And traffic cones are generally the main item. So there you go. That's what an empty pound looks like. Let's just go a bit further up and see what's going on. It might just be that they've got this £1 drained because they've got the lock gate up there is closed, so I can only assume that they've just drained this one. So we're all clear up here. But no good bringing your boat down this way, guys, because you ain't going to get anywhere. So in effect, this flight is still closed. Again, plenty of fish. So they should be up here because this is up the locks from the affected section. So yeah, if you were contemplating coming down the Whirley in Essendon into Walsall to get into the basin, you can't do it. The Walsall lock flight is effectively still closed because there's no, other than to the basin, there's nowhere to go because you can't go down out the other way because that's down to the restricted section. So this lock, this flight lock is currently closed. But what this has done for me, this little trip out to see what's going on with this pollution, is it's enabled me to see what I'm missing. And this is really beautiful again. You know, we're in the heart of the West Midlands, industrial West Midlands, real proper urban stuff. But here's that green corridor. Here's that place where people can come and sort of download, do that sort of brain dump, if you like. Look at it. Just look at it. What a place. I need to bring my boat through. Waddle, waddle. Me and you guys, it's me and you. Can we go a bit faster because I've got things to do? You know what I mean? Coming through. Don't any of you try and bite me. With this big one at the front. This will be Dad. He's going to have a go in her. It's all right. Coming through. And so, quite controversially, and much to the annoyance of a lot of boaters, Canal and River Trust have set up a GoFundMe page. Their initial request was to try to raise £10,000, but an anonymous donor apparently threw that 10 grand straight in. So I think they've stretched the target now. It might be 15k, something like that. And yeah, I don't know what people's thoughts are on that. People will say, well, CRT, it's not their fault. It should be Anachrome that are paying it. And yes, I'm sure that will happen. But we know what the justice system's like. That isn't going to go, bang, here, I'll have this money and sort this out. CRT are bursting at the seams with everything else that they've got to do. There are cynics out there who are kind of saying, well, we raised this money to help CRT, help the wildlife and help the cleanup operation, etc., etc. But ultimately, that money will come from anachrome, and therefore, we've gifted the boating community or whoever else have gifted extra money to CRT because they've now been paid back for what they did and etc. I don't care about any of that. I do care about the wildlife, I do care about the environment, I do care about the canals. And if something is wounding Canal and River Trust, then it has to be within our interest if we want to continue boating in the future, particularly on canals like this that don't get a lot of traffic. And we keep saying, cruise it or lose it. We've got to support that, in my opinion. Yes, I pay my licence fee, but actually when I look at when you travel the network, when you look at the amount of stuff that has to be kept sort of working and just, towpaths, locks, sluices, aqueducts, culverts, it's just endless. And we're charging around in our 15, 20 ton boats, banging it, crashing it, smashing it. And something has to get, they can't keep throwing money at it. Funding has been withdrawn from them. So I'm all for them raising that money, and I've sent some money to that fund, and I don't care what people think about that. I work within the now, and now there is a need for some money to be thrown at this to clean it up, to protect the wildlife. I don't care about the politics beyond that. Let's get it going. And when anachrome eventually have to face the courts and pay what they need to pay, I don't really care where that goes, as long as it goes into making sure our waterways are still there for us in 20, 30, 40 years' time, and we're still cruising them, and we're still making use of this fantastic resource that we have in the UK.
So thank you so much for joining me for this pollution special. We will return, of course, with our continuation of our beautiful summer cruise to Liverpool and places beyond. See you soon. Bye-bye.